So we have some more exciting developments for both One Punch Man Season 3 and also the manga, because we just recently got a new chapter released yesterday, and it's a chapter that in my opinion showcases like one of the biggest turning points in the entire series. It's a very, very hype chapter, one that I'm very excited for, and also very brutal, surprisingly. This one definitely ended up being a lot more gory than I thought it would be versus the original version, and like Amai Mask, like he's not in great shape, we'll just say that. But we also got some pretty crucial information for One Punch Man Season 3, more specifically like the exact date that we will be getting in airtime, because there was some confusion on when the recap episode would happen and when the official season would start. But now we know exactly what dates things are going to happen, down to the exact time the episode will premiere and all the streaming services that it'll be available on depending on where you live around the world. And at the very end, I want to briefly cover some very potentially juicy leaks from Season 3, but we'll get to that at the very end. First though, like I said, just to briefly cover this chapter, I usually do like every single chapter I make a review, but now with like a lot of these chapters not having a ton going on, I might just start doing like arc reviews or like every like 5 chapters or something. But nonetheless, this is the most recent chapter that we got just yesterday. In fact, we also got the reveal of the next volume cover. I believe it's volume 35. If you guys see right here, let me just zoom in on a little bit. Pretty cool. It's showing the scene where Saitama destroys like all the battle robots that Metal Knight has set up for the Hero Association. Pretty funny scene. But anyway, back to the chapter. As you guys remember, if you've been following the manga from chapter to chapter, you know that Amai Mask has been fighting this increasingly getting stronger, started off as a wolf level monster, pesky clown, but as we're going to see in this chapter, it's confirmed that this monster is now beyond demon level and even approaching dragon level officially, which is pretty insane. That technically still an A-class hero, although Amai Mask is strong enough to be S-class, is fighting a dragon level monster on his own, and we're going to get to see how he fares against it, which is honestly not very good. Things get pretty bad. But if you guys remember from previous chapters, this fight has been continually escalating because Pesky Clown's ability is he gets stronger with the more attention that he receives, like the more attention that he feels like he's receiving. And Amai Mask being the most popular hero in the association, he's going to get eyeballs on whatever he does at all times. So this is kind of like the worst possible matchup for him. As we see throughout the fight, there's more and more people being attracted to this fight, trying to see Amai Mask and get close to him. This in turn has made Pesky Clown progressively stronger throughout the fight, and we eventually get to this point in this chapter where like this is literally being broadcasted all over, like all over various cities, this entire fight, and it's really just hammering home that like this is kind of like a death spiral for this situation, honestly, that Amai Mask is in, because this makes Pesky Clown with his ability potentially like infinitely more powerful with the more attention that he gets. And as we're learning in this chapter, Amai Mask, like we all know, the readers at this point, that Amai Mask is a monster, like he's a humanoid monster. He kind of gave his backstory as to how that even happened in the first place to Saitama some chapters back, but we know he's a monster. Everyone doesn't know in the story, of course. But right here we see him start to slowly just like not care that he's exposing his monster form, because we also learn in this chapter that in his humanoid form that he shows to everyone else, he's not nearly as powerful as he is in his like fully monsterized form, I guess, which we're gonna end up seeing in a minute, which actually looks pretty cool. Here we see that Pesky Clown is getting like way scarier and even bigger, and this is where Amai Mask like declares it a demon or above. But as he starts delivering more and more blows onto him, trying to take him out, we start to see that he's even more powerful than that, more than a demon and like officially a dragon. And this is where things start to get like pretty brutal, because as we've seen with the Amai Mask, like with Fear or Ugly and stuff like that from the Monster Association arc, he can eat quite a bit of damage and still live. So I feel like this is Murata just kind of using that as an excuse to just build this like super brutal scene, because as we see here, he just starts continually like slamming his face into the cement over and over and over again, until finally we see that he has this completely destroyed face from having his face smashed into the ground so much. Like it's pretty gnarly. But it doesn't even end there, because immediately after standing up, Pesky Clown nails him in the stomach and sends him flying into a Ferris wheel. Here we see Amai Mask like embedded into the Ferris wheel and kind of contemplating that there's no way that he can beat this monster in his current form. He has to like fully release his monster form to have any chance of beating it. But he starts having this back and forth of like, if I do that, then I'm going to expose myself to the world and everyone's going to know me for what I truly am. The issue is that from the impact that he made in hitting the Ferris wheel with the punch that Pesky Clown delivered, it ended up like damaging the Ferris wheel itself and sending it crashing towards the ground with the couple still in there. So because of this, Amai Mask has to make a really tough choice, like keep my public image or save people. And that's when he thinks about what Saitama told him like a few chapters back, where he says, isn't it more about how things ought to be rather than how you'll be seen by others? We're all humans after all. And this is kind of when Amai Mask has his major turning point, and this is where things are never going to be the same for him ever again. And this is when we finally get like the full reveal. He's probably going to be more monsterized in the next chapter, but this is when we start to get the full reveal of Amai Mask's fully released monster form. Not surprising, the artwork for this reveal is absolutely incredible. Murata knocked it out of the park, and that's where the chapter ends. Now, next chapter, I feel like it's going to be the conclusion to this finally, and we're going to get like another big moment between Amai Mask and somebody else. Something I'm also very much looking forward to, but was definitely pretty happy with this chapter and don't have any complaints myself. But let me know in the comments below what you liked about this chapter versus like the webcomic version if you read it, whether you enjoyed the chapter in general, or maybe just some things that you didn't like. Let me know in the comments below. Definitely want to hear it. But also, I did say that I wanted to cover some official news that we got pertaining to the like official release date and time of season 3. Now, early on, we heard that there was going to be a recap episode to kick off the 3rd season. So it was going to be a episode that recaps all of season 2 to kind of warm us up and remind us of everything that's going on building up to season 3. Now, the beginning of all this stuff was scheduled for October 5th. Now, where a lot of like the confusion was and a lot of the debate was whether or not we were going to be getting the recap episode and the first episode of season 3 both on October 5th, or if we were going to get the recap episode on October 5th and get the official release of the season on October 12th. Well, it seems like with this announcement, it has been made official that the recap episode will be on October 5th, standalone, and the kickoff of the season, so episode 1 of season 3, will be on October 12th, specifically at 24:30 JST, which is Japanese time. Now, that's going to vary depending on where you live around the world. For me, where I live, I think it's going to be around like 11:30 or 10:30 or something like that in the morning, also on October 12th, but again, depending on where you are in the world, this time might be different, so just go ahead and like copy this time and put it into like ChatGPT or something to figure it out. I don't know. But on top of that, we also got a pretty comprehensive list of all the streaming services that are going to have season 3 available on, depending on which country you live in. Me, I'm living in the United States, so as we see here, the season's going to be showcased on Hulu or Disney Plus. Good thing is that I already have Hulu because, you know, season 2 was on Hulu, so I can just, you know, easily watch it there. However, if you live in Africa, Europe, or the Middle East, you get to watch it on Crunchyroll, which would have been nice here, but whatever, doesn't really matter. And also a bunch of these other different streaming services or platforms in various countries. Now, I have heard that like Sony Yay, for, you know, people that live in India and Nepal and stuff like that, it's like a kids channel, which is kind of funny, but you know, whatever works, as long as you get to watch the season for free, that's the only important thing, or for like a minimal amount of money, I guess, if you have to pay for the streaming service. So I don't know about you guys, but now knowing the official release date and time just makes me super excited for the season. Like, we're only a few weeks away now, and I'm definitely going to be like live streaming and live reacting to like a lot of this stuff. So definitely make sure to subscribe for that. But also, one last thing that I wanted to briefly cover that I mentioned at the beginning was some potential leaked information. Now, I can't really show you guys the video here because it's been taken down in a lot of places, and also I don't want to be hit with any like copyright issues, but I personally heard it myself. Apparently, like the release of the full opener for One Punch Man has been leaked, like just a song that features now Jam Project, who has done all the other openers for One Punch Man, along with Baby Metal, this group right here that you're seeing. And this is a video of them just kind of talking up the opener and the season release and all these things, kind of just giving some press, I guess you could say. But kind of getting back to the leaked song, I heard it myself. Like I said, if you want to find it yourself and listen for yourself, you can probably find it if you go like on Twitter and look it up, or go on other forums online. Like, I'm sure you can pretty easily find the full song. The sound is in a lower quality, but you could still hear the full song, and honestly, I loved it. Like, I thought it was super good. Now, there's always like the chance that was like an AI generated leak, like it's not even real, but to be honest, from what I heard and how Jam Project sounds, how Baby Metal sounds, I feel like it is a genuine leak, especially considering that we got like already a portion of the opener in the recent commercial video that came out. But that pretty much wraps up all the One Punch Man news for this week. Again, let me know in the comments below what you think of all this. Are you excited for season 3 like I am? Are you still super like pessimistic and hesitant about it? I know there's a lot of people out there that are. Either way, I want to hear from you guys, but that's going to be it for this one. Have an absolutely wonderful morning, afternoon, evening, whatever. See you guys in the next video. Peace out.